Hi, I'm Dr. Tammy Nelson. Welcome to Relationship TV. I have a wonderful guest today, Dr. Gina Ogden. She's one of my favorite people in the world. I'm thrilled to have her, and I know you're going to be thrilled to have her too. She is an award-winning sex therapist and supervisor, the author of 10 books, at least, at last count. And she has a new book coming out, Exploring Desire and Intimacy, a workbook for creative clinicians, so you can catch that anytime. And she's the author for clinicians, if you're interested, expanding the practice of sex therapy. It's something you should all have on your shelves. And for anyone interested in desire, The Return of Desire is a classic, and everyone should have this book on their bedroom bedside table. And she's also the author of The Heart and Soul of Sex and Women Who Love Sex. Gina, we love you, and we're so thrilled that you're here.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you so much.
Because mostly we meet on the telephone, where we're doing hours and hours and hours of teleseminar.
I know.
Yeah.
Or on the beach in Mexico.
Yes, on the beach in Mexico, La Boca.
Yeah.
Yes.
So not only are you a teacher, a trainer, a teleseminar leader, a retreat leader in Mexico and in Esalen and all over internationally, right, and a shamanic goddess and practitioner, but you really are one of the pioneers and the leaders in the field of sex therapy.
Oh. Well, I think early on, early on for me was, I've been in the field for 4 decades now, but I pretty fast figured out that there were a lot of questions that were not being addressed. Questions about what women want, hence the book Women Who Love Sex, instead of what's wrong with women. And then I did an enormous survey which went national, actually, on sexuality and spirituality, which kicked off the work that I've been doing ever since and currently teach, which is the 4-dimensional wheel of sexual experience.
Yeah, and I love that work that you're doing. So tell us more about the wheel, and what is that?
Yeah, well, again, it was in search of unanswered questions and questions my clients were asking me, that sex is more than just physical. As we know, it has an emotional component, because we feel. Mm-hmm. It also has what I'm labeling a mental component, almost messages that come up. Good girls don't, real men score. Mm-hmm. This is what daddy did to me, whatever those messages are. You're good, you're bad. And then it has a spiritual component, which we can call meaning. So once you have really walked the wheel and understood what your physical issues are and what you're feeling emotionally and how you're driven by certain messages about what's right and wrong, good, bad, who am I, what gender am I, for instance, then what is the meaning in all of that?
So who you are in your body, how you feel about your body, what it means to be in your body, and even in your gender. Yeah. So the meaning of sex. That's the first part of that.
I call it the so what quadrant. If you think about a wheel, body, mind, heart, and spirit. The spirit part, some people get into the religion part of it. Many people do not. Many people get into, it's all about the goddess and the gods or tantra. But at its basis, it's so what? What is it you want? What are you in this sexual relationship for? Is it for pleasure? Is it to have a baby? Is it to rebel from your family? Is it what? So that when people are walking the wheel and pass through and kind of get into the spirituality dimension, it can go past, present, future. It can bring up so much. And often, for instance, for couples in trouble, who are the ones who come to us, not the ones we have dinner with.
Well, it could be those too, but
yeah, but they're not asking us for help. But the ones who come to our offices, so often it's that spiritual component that they may never have addressed. That deep sense of connection and meaning with one another. Mm. And even a couple seems to be in dire trouble may be very, very connected because of their history, whether it's kids or not kids, but because they care, but they're not able to express it.
So you said a couple times, I just want to go back for a second, about
Sure.
walking the wheel. Does that mean you actually put it on the ground? Is it sort of a conceptual idea? How do you work that with that couple?
Well, again, unanswered question, that there's so much good sex therapy theory out there, and this is beyond theory. It's like way beyond diagnosis and treatment. I literally put the wheel on the ground. Mm-hmm. And it can be very elaborate when I run groups, candles, feathers, whatever.
Mm-hmm. I love that idea.
Yeah, it's fun. But just at its basis, it's like it can be 4 Post-its on the floor. And I ask clients to get out of their chairs and to literally embody, to stand in the place of the physical, of what's going on with them physically, to stand in the place of their heart and speak from that place, to stand in the place of all those messages that are coming up and driving them crazy and their partners crazy, possibly. Or maybe they're messages about love and connection that feel very good, but they're not communicating. And when we actually engage our body's intelligence, something else happens, something new. We're not just talking from our heads like that little ventriloquist that is telling us what to do. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Our bodies are literally speaking, and that can be very moving. And for couples, what happens is that I may hold one member of the one partner here and say, let's see what's going on with your partner. And to be able to literally see the partner struggling with the emotions, or suddenly going back in time. Oh, I feel 3 years old and I'm so small, and my brothers are so big and so mean. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden for the partner, it's like, oh, that's what's happening when blah, blah.
To be able to witness their
witness their process, their journey.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you wanted to share this sort of concept or this idea with other clinicians and give them an idea of how they might take some of these ideas to work with couples, for sure they should train with you, and for sure they should buy your books. But if they were to practice even a little bit of it, what could they do to actually help couples go through this?
Sure. Well, they can, first of all, begin to think body, mind, heart, spirit, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, when they're asking the question, so they don't just get stuck. Secondly, one thing I love to do is to ask clients to bring in 2 objects, one to represent a part of your sexual story you want to keep and grow and nurture, and the other to represent a part of your sexual story that you never want to have anything to do with again.
I love that.
And again, these objects just begin to flesh out a story in a new way. And it's not like putting the client on the spot, because they've got their objects and they can move them around and not be held to their story in the same way. And a new story opens up.
I really like that. So to bring in an object of something that they want to hold on to in their sexual self and something they want to let go of.
For instance, somebody might bring in a ripe mango to represent the luscious juiciness that I want to feel with you. And the partner may see it in a whole new way. Or they might bring in, one woman brought in a strip of danger tape, yellow danger tape.
Wow.
To represent that that's what her childhood was like, behind the closed door down to the dark basement.
That's clear.
And again, the stories are embedded in these. And then clients can take them home and work with them or play with them. But it's a new image. Instead of just doing the loop of the fight, you always, but I always, but you, but.
And always being in their head. And
just trying so hard. It's fun, and it works really fast. Often.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah.
And what is an idea that you have that you could share with our viewers who would be in a relationship watching us today that they might want to try at home?
Well, think of yourself on the wheel. Locate yourself when you're feeling enraged at your partner because he always or she always or remember, stand in that emotional place and notice how old you're feeling. Where are those feelings coming from? Just locate yourself and then locate yourself physically. Locate yourself in the message place. Walk the wheel so that you're not stuck just in one place and share it with your partner.
Yeah. So I want to ask you one question. If someone was in a retreat with you or a workshop, what would they expect? What could they look forward to?
They would look forward to some amazingly collaborative stuff that would happen because I will set the space, which is safe because we set a lot of safety. We ask everybody to bring in their 2 objects so that by the time 20 or 30 or 40 people are in the room, we have 40 or 60 or 80 stories just bubbling away there. And people make alliances and they open up. That's why I called my last book Expanding the Practice of Sex Therapy, because it expands way beyond some kind of genital event that is supposed to happen, and into something that's much more global. And people begin to realize it's about fluidity. It's about the ability to change over time. At age 50, 60, 70, we don't necessarily want the same things we wanted when we were 20 or 30. Although we look back on that as being great, but it can be even greater if you bring your heart and soul into it, hence the heart and soul of sex.
It's such a great image. I just have this picture of people sort of working the wheel, but also doing this work around your ages and different
exactly.
ages. So.
It's multi-dimensional because we're working laterally and back in age and forward into the future. And it's people are having, I like to call it lightning bolts of illumination, whether it's conceptual or whether it's of the heart or spirit or body. And the route to changing sexual dysfunction, and we're talking hormones, we're talking dry vaginas, we're talking erections that don't work on cue. The route to healing those is very often not directly to the homing sites. It's through the heart. It's through the mind. It's through the spirit. It's through the relationship. So this is what I teach. And you asked a really good question that I didn't answer. What you would do when you come to a retreat or a training is we would meet in a circle and we would do a lot of moving and standing and experimenting yourself. The notion is that I don't have the answers. You may not either, but we're on a journey together. And be ready for surprise.
I love that. I want to go now.
Yes, you can go. Please.
So, Gina, what's one quick tip that you have for couples that you could share with us? I know, just, 50 years of wisdom into, one quick tip.
It's funny. It's a paradox, is the quick tip. It's like, it's not all about you. And yet it is all about you. Because until you know, if we're the couple, if I don't know who I am, I cannot have a full relationship with you. So work the wheel, find out who you are, and show your partner.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I love that paradox.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can think about that for a long time. It's like a Zen koan.
It just came.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you, Gina.
Always, always.
I could have you here forever. We'll have you back. Wise words from Gina Ogden. Check her out at ginaogden.com. You can find out more at Relationship TV. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Dr. Tammy Nelson at Relationship TV, where we put your relationship first to make love last.